were in battle gear. I started to run, and the next thing I know, I was down. And I know exactly where I got hit. I see that in my mind like it happened yesterday. Well, it took a long time for me to have the courage to go back. I was always fearful of going back. Several years I went to England, and my wife said, let's go over to France, and I said, I'm not ready for it. However, in the past couple of years, I said, at my age, I'm ready for anything. I'm going to get rid of the demons that I had about going back to Utah Beach. I'm at peace with it, and I picture in my mind, I know exactly where I was when I got hit. I picture the whole beach. I understand that there are a lot of changes and it's beautiful, but the seawall stays the same. So when I got hit right at the beginning of the seawall, and I said, I see that in my mind like it happened yesterday. You know, it looks the same.
Looks the same?
Sand and water. Nothing different. And there's a seawall out there.
What's it like walking on this beach 75 years later?
Same. Except I was fast. Yeah, that's how it was. But I just can't imagine myself running on the beach. I say, how do I run on the beach? And then you had to have eyes in the back of your head. I was 17 when I went to boot camp.
What training had you had?
Got out of boot camp in 3 weeks because I aced an explosive exam. I had a photographic mind and I wanted to get into the war as fast as I can.
It's incredible.
3 weeks later, I was on the Queen Mary on my way to England.
Yeah.
To train. I was past 17 years old, and I was the youngest platoon leader.
Oh, wow.
But I was built different.
Where are you from, sir, originally?
New York originally,
New
Las
York?
Vegas, Nevada now, 26 years.
I can see.
Great choice of retirement.
Yes, absolutely.
Pardon?
The Bronx.
Brooklyn.
Brooklyn?
Can't you tell?
Nice.
6 days I was in England,
Oh,
in
wow.
Scotland, and then I was in England, and they put me with a bunch of old men, 28 years old. I was 18.
Really?
I was not 18 yet. They put me through 18 hours a day training
Oh, yeah?
with Seabees, and they were old men because they were 38 and I was 17.
The youngin', huh?
So they really were old men. I said, you're old enough to be my father, for God's sakes. Then I went to a marshalling area, hung around there for 3 weeks, and boom. On the way into Omaha Beach, we lost 70%.
Yeah.
Utah Beach, we lost about 42%. But in Omaha, they hit the cliffs. Germans were on top of the cliffs and throwing everything down on them. They couldn't get up there.
Yeah.
In Utah, we had cover, you know,
From
much
all
as
the
we could.
obstacles or just the
Yeah,
natural
but
terrain?
the only thing is the tide kept coming in. There were 12 of us in my unit. We had 24 altogether. 12 of us, and we just piled up in there. We were in battle gear we were carrying explosives and a rifle and a backpack. We lined up in here. We got as far as about 3 feet from the beach when the motor stopped, and we had to get out in 3 foot of water. Water was up to our waistlines, especially me because I'm short, and we headed toward the beach. But there were only 2 of us left. The rest took cover behind the tank. There was a tank on the beach. But we went ahead and we took all our explosives off, brought it onto the beach, and while we were doing this, there must have been about 10 other boats that couldn't get in. They landed in about 6 feet of water, and the guys were drowning because they had heavy packs on, probably about 50 pounds, plus their rifle. And I saw a lot of guys drowning, and bodies floating in the water. I don't know if they were all drowned or they were hit. But it was a terrible time, and I was in shock, so I wasn't aware of it. Now, the guy that stood back with me, if he went ashore like everybody else, he would be alive today. But when we got ashore, he was standing right next to me. We were standing getting the explosives ready to bring it in further onto the beach when he got hit. As soon as he got hit, he was over here. He was maybe 6 to 10 inches away from me. As soon as he got hit, I knew he was dead. He was a buddy of mine that was 2 months younger than me. We were aboard an LST, and the weather was pretty rough, and there was a rope ladder going down, but the boats were coming up 50 feet and then dropping down. The waves were so rough. And I got on, and there were 2 guys down below on the boat, and they said, "Jerry, jump." And I said, "I'm not jumping." And they said, "Jerry, jump. Now's the time to jump." And I did. When the waves came up, I jumped, and they caught me. It's a good thing I was a skinny guy.
Yeah.
That was it, but a lot of boats got stuck in about 6 to 8 feet of water, and I believe a lot of guys drowned before, or certainly got hit. It was almost a total disaster. But then the infantry came in, a lot of infantrymen came in. They were smart enough to take the backpacks off, and they were able to get ashore anyway. You're looking at the side version of it. I don't think it was any bigger. To me, it seemed tremendous in size. But I know that there were between 20 and 24 aboard, and we were crowded in. As soon as they dropped off, they went back to the ships, to the LSTs, and took another load of souls in. At that time, infantry was coming in by the tons. I got to tell you, so as I look at it, it brings back a vivid imagination, because I know exactly where the coxswain stood and where everybody else stood, and I was near the front. So I remember the spot we dug in against the seawall. I went out to get something, and a German plane came over and was strafing the area. I went to my foxhole, and there's somebody laying there. I didn't say anything, and I started to run. I started to run, and the next thing I know, I was down. Took my helmet. I didn't take my helmet off. I left it, but I felt that there was a hole this big. If I didn't have the helmet on, I wouldn't be here. So they took my combat uniform and they burnt it. The only thing I had was combat boots, leather combat boots. So what am I going to do? So they put me on an army uniform. I'm 5'7", and the blouse came down to here. Lieutenant, when I came into the base in England, he was hysterical. He said, "What'd you do, join the army on us?"
Oh.
I says, "I look like a clown. What do you mean join the army?" And that's my story.